Hello and welcome to your video lecture on biological macromolecules. Let's go ahead and get started. Section 3.1 is on the synthesis of our biological macromolecules, and our learning objectives are to really understand that synthesis and explain dehydration or condensation and hydrolysis reactions. So first we need to state what are our macromolecules, and they're going to include these four major classes. Carbohydrates, which you can see some examples, well, one example here, and then we'll talk more about that. Our lipids, as well as our proteins and our nucleic acids. Now water also is a macromolecule, but we won't be touching on water since we talked about it in chapter 2. And also keep in mind that our macromolecules are organic, meaning that we're going to contain carbon in it and it'll be bound to hydrogen and may contain some other elements such as oxygen, nitrogen, and some minor elements. Now, in order to build these large macromolecules, we have to go through a process known as dehydration synthesis. Most of us think of dehydration as us losing water, and that's exactly what happens in this type of reaction, where we are going to put things together and lose water. And those things are going to be monomers. Monomers are our building blocks for the macromolecules. They'll be different depending on which one it is. But essentially, we are going to go through this reaction and take one monomer, add it to another one, another one, another one, and then it will be called a polymer. And we're releasing water with each bond, and this is going to require energy in order to drive this forward. So we will have an example here, one hydrogen combined with a hydroxyl group of another and essentially form a covalent bond. And in that process, like we said, we're going to be losing water and we needed that input of energy. This process is also called anabolism, in which we are taking two or more structures and combining them into a larger structure. So remember what we talked about in chapter 2, we have metabolism, and that is really anabolism reactions and catabolic reactions. So this one is the anabolism. We're adding things together to get a larger one. Whereas hydrolysis, this is going to be more of that catabolism type of reaction. So this is when we're going to take the polymers and add water and have the breakdown of those two into monomers. And through this reaction, we're able to release energy by breaking the bonds. And we won't dive into too much detail here, but these dehydration and hydrolysis reactions are catalyzed, or by using an enzyme, we're kind of speeding up the reaction that are specific for each one. And we especially will need that with our dehydration reactions just because we're forming new bonds and that requires energy.